Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daily Practice. It's Thanksgiving, and I know most people say Happy Thanksgiving, and I do too, but I wish there was a better way to say it. I wish we could say Aware Thanksgiving, or Mindful Thanksgiving to you, or Wishing you a thoughtful Thanksgiving. There's so much disparity in our world. And on the one hand, everyone's had a hard year. It doesn't actually matter how much money you have or don't have, if you've been sick or not sick. It doesn't actually matter, what your particular circumstances have been. Everybody at many different layers of society has had a hard time this year. And at the same time, it's really important to acknowledge that there are people who have it way harder than others, and through no fault of their own. People who have inherited legacies of trauma, people who have inherited the weight that they bear of carrying the burdens of our country's collective shame. And so I do want everyone to have a happy Thanksgiving. I do, but I want everybody to have a happy Thanksgiving, and I want Thanksgiving to be about something more real and substantive than the myth of the white colonialists making friends with the people of Plymouth, New Hampshire. I took a wonderful class this week, and it was the third in a 4-part series. Today, I'll find the info and I'll post it in the comments of the Facebook and Goddess Temple apps so you can see it. It's a series of teachings by Beverly Little Thunder and Luciania Echeverria, who are members of the Standing Rock Lakota Sioux. I believe that's the proper way to say it. And they have an organization called Kunsakai Tamagose, I think it's Tamagose. And it's an organization that is helping to bring Indigenous teachings into the world in a safe way, in an honoring and respectful way, and on their own terms, so that it's not like extracted from them, but rather they are offering in a very measured way what they're speaking about, very much on, whatever their own comfort level is. And I love this class. I've taken of the 4-part series, I've taken 2 of the classes, and then the third class that I didn't take, I took with them a year ago. There's one more class coming up. In this class that I took this week, they described an Indigenous perspective on Thanksgiving. And I thought, wow, it was just such a valuable perspective. I wanted to just share a little bit of what I walked away from the talk with, which was that Indigenous people in this nation had over 10 different independent peoples celebrated some version of a Thanksgiving. It was not the same in every culture, but the basic premise of gratitude on a daily basis, gratitude as a way of life, was the underpinnings of the Thanksgiving tradition. And that all over the world, there are countries that have these types of traditions. And that to have these types of traditions is great. It's really important. But we can't pack all of our gratitude into one day. We have to make gratitude an everyday thing. From when we wake up in the morning, giving thanks for our first breath of our day. That was one of the suggestions by Unchi Beverly. That's her honorific title. And that we have to then continue the practice of gratitude all day, every day. And that gratitude as a way of life is what will ensure collective abundance. And so they talked about a lot of other things, but those things really sort of hit home for me. And I wanted to kind of just give voice to this because I think that it is really wonderful to have a day set aside for gratitude to remind us that gratitude is a way of life. But I also think it's very important for us to be really careful to note that it should be a day also of reflection on the fact that many of the things that today most Americans are grateful for are things that were actually taken away from Indigenous Americans and that they no longer have access to. And our gratitude comes on the backs of these people. So finding a right relation here, you know, it's a Dharma value, right relation with others. It's also an Indigenous value. And if we wish to decolonize our minds and we wish to come to a more balanced and harmonious state with the earth and all beings, then really we need to be in right relation. So today, maybe when your family is gathered around the table for dinner, you might say to everyone, everybody, pull out your phones, let's go. We're going to go to this website. We're going to make a donation. Everybody, $10 right now. Whoever does it quick gets extra whipped cream on their pie. Go. Or everybody, we're going to take a minute right now and let's just take all the money we have in our pockets and put it into this basket. And then we're going to take a vote and choose a charity to donate it to. Or we could say, everybody, let's just take a moment. And I've taken the liberty of researching, famous Indigenous people throughout history and their teachings. And I've picked this person and I want to read aloud this person's story of their life so that we all know more today than we did yesterday. So that is my wish for everybody, that we have a mindful Thanksgiving, a careful Thanksgiving, a loving Thanksgiving, a caring Thanksgiving, a thoughtful Thanksgiving, a grateful Thanksgiving. It doesn't diminish our happiness to pay attention to the truth. In fact, paying attention to the truth only actually makes our happiness more real and less desperate. So here's to real happiness, not desperate happiness. Today is my father's second death anniversary. And I will forever light candles of gratitude to Santa Muerte for him having the exact death that he asked for his whole life. Madre mía, Santa Muerte, ante las dificultades de la vida, ayúdame. En mis desaciertos, ilumíname. En mis soledades, acompáñeme. En las horas difíciles, consuélame. En más tentaciones, defiéndeme. En las penas y tristezas, fortaléceme. Con tu inmenso poder, protégeme. Con tu infinito amor, ámame. Con tu gran bondad, mírame. Con tu mano providente, guíame. Así sea por siempre. Amen. Mime, Star Woman, Mujeres Estrella. Mime. I've never drawn her. I've never drawn this card in the whole time that I've had this deck. This is going on like 3 years. So this is a totally new draw for me. When I get a deck like this one where it's really a learning deck for me, I don't try to devour it quickly. I just go through it kind of slowly, and it sometimes might take me years before I see each card. I let them come up when they're ready to show me what they want me to know. So let's listen to the Mujeres Estrella. Although the Spanish called them devils and demons, monikers that still persist today, the Tzitzimime are associated with the stars, the power of creation, the female, and the underworld. As a metaphor, bones symbolize the creation of life as opposed to death, so they are prominent in the images of Tzitzimime. Often associated with chaos, the Tzitzimime bring destruction as a precursor to creation and a new order. They were petitioned for healing, and they had the powers of regeneration. These deities are called the angels of the air and the sky bearers. Okay, we've just found the correlation, the sort of loose correlation of the Dakinis in this pantheon. They bring rain, water, thunder, and lightning. The Tzitzimime play an integral part in the continuity of human life, and they remind humankind of their responsibilities to keep the cosmic cycles in motion. Along with all beings on this earth, you are part of the grand cosmic cycle, and you play a part in sustaining the Oyin, the primal energy of life. When the Tzitzimime come to you, they remind you of your responsibilities and your power. What are you choosing to sustain? What are you choosing to create? The Tzitzimime demand mindfulness in all of your actions. When you are a catalyst being on this earth, a catalyst being, that means you have a certain energetic frequency that you are tapped into, that you know runs through you like lightning. It is unbidden. You can't call it. You can't force it, and you can't fake it. There's a knowing that runs through you, an awareness that runs through you, a power that runs through you, a purpose that runs through you. When you are this kind of person, a natural person, an authentic person, and a humble person, you will know that sometimes you go places and things happen. And they don't happen because you want them to, and they don't happen because you asked for them. They don't happen because you decided anything. You will just low-key walk into a room and all of a sudden energy shifts. There are catalysts, and there are creators, and there are sustainers, and there are destroyers. And all of us have all of these capacities, but some of us have some of them more readily than others. When you are a catalyst being and you create change in the world, you come to understand that part of your responsibility is to hold space for change, and that change is uncomfortable, and that people are resistant to it. So you come to this other layer of awareness after time of frustration, that you can see a path, but maybe others can't. Or you can see what needs to change, but maybe others are still stuck. That frustration can give rise to a sense of superiority, and this is a dangerous place. Because the minute we feel like we have superiority to another being is when the universe is going to start lining up circumstances so that we will have compassion for that other being. And that will mean that sometimes we experience what they experience. So it's easy to be like, make fun of somebody who's speaking in an uneducated way, for example, if you're an educated person. But then you will find that within a couple of weeks, you will say something in an important moment when important people are listening that sounds so asinine that they can hardly believe it came out of your mouth, and you can hardly believe it came out of your mouth. That to me would be like this energy of Tsitsi Mime coming in and being like, oh, okay. Let's tangle your tongue a little bit because you thought yourself superior. The bringers of storm are the ones who are washing the energy of our world, cleansing it. But they will cleanse us as well. And in that cleansing, we come into greater rectitude. In that rectitude, we become more aligned with our star self. In becoming more aligned with our star self, we start to understand the power of our lightning. And in understanding the power of our lightning, we begin to create beneficial change everywhere we go. With patience, good humor, trust, kindness toward humanity, a sense of magnanimous generosity of spirit, allowing people to grow and learn exactly where they are, valuing the learning process in all of its myriad forms, and even being grateful for the storms that sweep things away, even things that we've loved, even things that we thought were important, because we know that everything has its season, and just as surely as there's a summer, there's a winter. Here, we stand together on the shank of winter on the day of thoughtful gratitude in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of a very awkward and difficult and dangerous transition of power in the government of the United States, in the midst of a climate that is wearying of our presence, amidst legacies of extraction. We have to be these catalysts. We have to be these catalysts. So today, whether it's just pulling out our phones and saying, everybody, let's buy a tree. Everybody, let's donate a thing. Everybody, let's learn this thing. Everybody, let's say a prayer for decolonization of our minds, bodies, and spirits for all beings. At every turn, when we move in that direction, we are serving that transformational power that runs through us. We are strengthening our relationship with the lightning and with the stars. So that's our short bit for today. And I hope everyone has a good dinner if you're going now. Otherwise, if you're sticking around, let's chant to Guan Yin and you can drop your counts in the comments. 3 prostrations before the shrine. And let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention. And today, let's set the intention for the decolonization of the mind, body, and spirit, and the eradication of the deepest illness that exists in many of us living in the United States and worldwide, the illness of the colonized mind. And let's recite the four immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. I polished my water bowls the other day. And you know what I used? Ketchup. If your water bowls are brass, you can just smear a little bit of ketchup inside the bowl. Just put like one squirt in the first bowl, and then you can use your hands or a spoon to smear it around into all the other bowls. You only need a little bit. But they come out looking really much shinier after you've done this. Take a look. See my shiny brass offering bowl? There. Ketchup. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering for Guan Xiyin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Om Ahum. 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 Omahung, 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 Omahung. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guanyin, remain until the end of samsaric existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. "108 recitations now of Namo Guanxin Pusa as we call forth this golden pink green light of Guanyin from our hearts and bring it out into the world around us, so that then in our second round of chanting we can send it out even further. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, Namo Guanxin Pusa, Namo Guanxin Pusa, Namo Guanxin Pusa. Namo Guanxin Pusa, 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 Namo Quan Shi Yin Pusa. 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 Whatever actions you engage in, do not do anything non-dharmic that fails to become the accumulation of merit and wisdom. Do not desire anything other than omniscient Buddhahood and benefiting sentient beings. Do not be attached to anything. Attachment itself is the root of bondage. Do not criticize other teachings and do not disparage people. All the teachings are ultimately indivisible, like the taste of salt. Do not criticize any of the higher or lower vehicles. They are identical in being the path to be journeyed, just like the steps on a staircase. You cannot know another person unless you can perceive with super knowledge, so do not criticize others. In general, all sentient beings are by their very nature spontaneously perfect Buddhas. They possess the essence of enlightenment. Do not examine other people's faults or delusions. Do not examine the limitations of others. Examine how you can change your own. Do not examine the shortcomings of others, but examine your own shortcomings. The greatest of evils is to hold religious prejudice and to criticize other people without knowing their mind. So give up prejudice, as if it were poison. And now 108 recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum, and really thinking about how, those who propagate Tibetan Buddhism in the West have done so because, in large part, they've been colonized out of their homeland, or their homeland has been colonized in such a way that they can no longer be there and be free. Let's think about all of the different people who chant this prayer as they sit on the river Ganges. All of the people who chant this prayer as they sit at the Buddhanath Stupa. All of the people who chant this prayer as they sit in Dharamsala. All the people who chant this prayer as they are sitting under the Bodhi tree. All of the people who chant this prayer on the subway or the train or the bus. All the people who are chanting this prayer in tiny little shrines, in tiny little apartments, in high-rise buildings, in cities. Their uncolonized nature remains intact. May it be an inspiration to us all that we have the capacity to return our minds to a more natural state. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my blessed teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life prayer for Lama Dechen Yeshe Wangmo. Om Sosti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Jungye and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of supreme bliss Yeshe Wangmo be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And let's dedicate the merit. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May we carry the essence of Guanyin in our hearts. Namo Guanxin Pusa. And we close with a bow to Guanyin, a bow to one another, and a bow to the inner teacher. Don't forget to drop your counts, and I will be back tomorrow wishing you a really, really grateful day.